Hey, it is Xennial Gamer, and today we're going to be talking about Dark Rift. Now, first and foremost, yes, that is ablution on the rank 24 score behind me. So we'll get to exactly how that worked in a little bit. Now, as with the other Rift videos, this one's going to be broken up into 3 parts. In the first part, we're going to be looking at a team that should be able to get you your first triple S. Now, I will warn you, it's probably a little bit of a higher bar than the other Rift videos. We'll talk about how it works and why. Then we're going to be looking at more of an auto team. And then in the last part, we're going to be looking at a high score team. And we'll talk a little bit about the CN at that point. Okay, so for this first part, we're going to be looking at a team that you can use to get your first triple S. Now, bear with me, the monsters that you see on screen, all of them are completely accessible, but not really easy to get in early game. So we're going to talk about their roles, why I've chosen these monsters, and then how you might find other monsters to replace them. But first, let's just talk about how the actual Dark Rift Beast works. Now, every Rift Beast has one thing that makes them special, and all the rest is the same. So for the Dark Rift, the thing that makes him special is this Dark Roar, which puts one of your frontline monsters in a soul chain. Now, the soul chain takes your monster completely out of the fight. They can't take damage while they're in the soul chain, but they can't take a turn either. They can't counterattack, attack with allies, anything like that. They're completely out of the fight. And the only way to release them from the soul chain is to put the boss in groggy state, or kill the boss, obviously, or to hit the boss 28 times before groggy state and then 32 times after. So you see right now, I've got my, that's actually Zhongfei, the Fire Panda, who's in the soul chain right now. I need to hit the boss 28 times to release him. Now, what happens if I don't release him? Well, this fight goes in a progression just like all the other rifts. So after the soul chain, you get a set number of hits, and then the boss is going to attack your front line. Then you get a few more hits. The boss is going to attack all of your monsters, and then you get a few more hits, and then the boss puts out his second soul chain. Now, here's where it gets dangerous. If you haven't released your monster that was locked up by the time he gets to his second Thorn of Despair, and both of your frontline monsters are in soul chains, or worse, one of them is dead, then he's going to attack your backline monsters. Obviously, your backline monsters are going to be built primarily as nukers, and he's probably going to wipe you. So there's a couple of ways that you can deal with this. The first is to get him into groggy state before we get to the second soul chain. The second is to build a team that can withstand that amount or sustain that amount of damage. Now, after the second soul chain, if your frontline monster is released, then he's just going to put one frontline monster back in a soul chain. The other one will take the second Thorn of Despair. From there, we go back to another Dark Sweep, which is an AoE attack. And then the Dark Rageful Breath, as with all the Rift Beasts, that's going to be the hardest hitting attack that hits all of your monsters. So you either need to have the boss down by that time, or your monsters need to be able to take the hit. Now, with all of the other rifts, you can usually find some relatively accessible 2A monsters or 3-star monsters, monsters that everybody can get and build easily right at the start of the game. Obviously, it takes you a little while longer to rune them, but usually monsters that are very quick and easy to get in order to defeat the boss. Now, the problem with the Dark Rift is that while there are multi-hitters, and that's what it takes to get your monster out of the soul chain, obviously, you have to hit the boss a lot. So you need monsters that multi-hit on all their hits. While there are multi-hitters, the 3-star ones generally have such low stats that it requires crazy high runes for them to win this fight. So instead, what we really want to focus on is what it takes to build the team so that you can look at the monsters you have and fill those roles. So with the team that we have right now, these are all monsters that everybody can get. There's going to be 2 fusion monsters in here, so you're not going to get them quickly. It's the Belager and the Zhongfei. They're both fusion monsters. The Airguard, the Dark Vampire Lord, also comes from Ancient Coins, so this isn't like immediately accessible. But I have tested it a few times. This team does work on auto. Granted, that's with my runes, but if we're just talking about getting a first triple S, this is a team that should be able to get you there once you have these monsters built. Now, you'll also see that there's a Kali and an Abigail. So we're using the Abigail. She's not technically free to play, but at the time of the recording of this video, Abigail was Hall of Heroes 2 weeks ago. So a lot of people will have her. If you don't, again, you're just going to be looking for a multi-hitter in her role. The Kali is in the front line for a couple of reasons. So we'll go ahead and auto now and demonstrate how this works. So the Kali is going to help to buff. The Kali plus the Airguard together are going to buff the Belager to 5 stacks, which allows me to just put the boss in groggy state right away, not worry about the second soul chain. Now, after the boss is at a groggy state, the Kali is probably going to die so one of two things will happen. The boss will soul chain the Zhongfei, then the Kali will die, which will stack my Belager again when she dies and allow me to kill the boss quickly. Or the boss will soul chain the Kali, leaving my Zhongfei, who is a multi-hitter, to attack the boss and get Kali out of soul chain. Now, Zhongfei also has counterattack, and his skill 1 is 3 hits. So, if the Zhongfei is left out of soul chain, then he's going to put up his counterattack, and he's going to get the Kali out of soul chain quickly. If he's the one who is soul chained, then the Kali dies, stacking the Belager, and so on and so forth. Now, the Rauk is in the back line for a couple of reasons. One is he's a really big damage dealer. Two is his team up is going to help turn cycle, and it's also going to help me bring in extra multi-hitters. If he brings either the Abigail, the Zhongfei, or the Ergar with him, those are all multi-hitters, so it helps release my frontline monster from the soul chain more quickly. And then his skill 1, also it's a little bit RNG based, but his skill 1 can multi-hit as well to help get that monster out of soul chain faster. Okay, so I've mentioned this in every other Rift video. It bears mentioning right now as we look at these runes. Speed does not matter in the Rifts at all, and the entire Rift is based on the number of turns you take, not the amount of speed you have. So actually, it is bad to have your monsters with a big speed gap between them. Now, it's okay if they're all fast as long as they're close together. But speed tuning is really important, and when you're speed tuning, you want the monsters to be close together, otherwise the faster monster is going to lap and take more turns. So this team is not speed tuned at all, which means that even though my attack stats and my runes are probably a little bit stronger, the lack of speed tuning is actually weakening this team a little bit. Okay, so we're going to look at Kali first. Now this is built for PvP, so she's 246 speed, and also has like no crit damage. Even in early game, if you were to put an attack percent rune in slot 2 and she's on a fatal set, you should be able to get that much attack, and I have the minimum crit damage. Now the Zhongfei, he's in a 222 set. He is in a crit damage build. I actually just built him for this video, but I built him with, since he just got his buff right now, I built him with the idea that maybe I'll try him out in Siege or Guild War. So again, with him, you could build him much slower. You do not have to put him in the crit damage build if you don't have the rune quality for that. So if you did something like HP, defense, you should be able to make him even tankier than I've made him. And again, he doesn't need speed. Now, the Ergar, I've got mine in Violent Fight. The fight runes are nice. They're not necessary. You could easily go Violent Blade. The Rauk, you can just go attack, crit damage, attack, and the speed doesn't matter as much. So the Belager, you could get away with probably not making him as tanky and just get as much damage on him as you can. And then the Abigail, I also ruined for this video. She's Violent Revenge, attack, crit damage, attack. Overall, I think most of these stats, you should be able to get relatively close to the damage levels of these monsters if you're not focused on also matching up with the speed and some of the other stats. Now, for turn order, and I'll put this up on screen, you're going to want your Ergar to go first so that he can buff everybody. You're going to want your Kali to go second. And then the next couple don't matter as much, but I would probably have my Abigail going third just so you've got more chances to get the monster out of Soul Chain faster in case she's proccing a lot if she's on Violent. I would have the Rauk going right after the Abigail. Then I would have the Zhongfei going next, and then the Belager last. And the reason for that is because Zhongfei does add one more buff to your Bale with the regenerate HP. Now, also, I didn't mention the Zhongfei is giving you some additional healing with that regenerate. He is your only healer in this team, so if you're having trouble wiping, if you're not able to blitz the boss out fast enough, another option would be to replace the Kali with a Colleen or a Fran in the front line and just make sure that they're a little bit on the squishy side. Actually looking for lower runes, because again, the idea is that they're going to die after Groggy State to stack your Belager so that Bale can kill the boss. But now let's talk about a much easier and safer team if you have the monsters. Okay, so I'm sure it's going to come as no surprise to anybody that the twins absolutely dominate this stage. They're all multi-hitters to begin with, and then they all bring each other with them, which means they release you from Soul Chain just like that. And it is, if you have full sets of twins and they're in any kind of decent runes, it's a very quick and easy YOLO. So I believe the Ergar should be going first at 165. The Shayna is probably going second at 157. So the Sabrina is going to be going third at 156. The Crow is going to be going fourth at 154. The Talia is going to be going fifth at 151, excuse me, and the Rauk is going to be going last at 150. Now, with my speed tower, actually the Rauk might go in front of the Talia. Now, ideally in this team, you would have the Airgar still going first, Shayna would go second, Sabrina third, Crow would go fourth, Rauk would go fifth, and Talia would go sixth. So we're pretty close to Speed Tune. The only thing that's out of order is the Crow. So there you go, that is how this team works. Now, again, if you're having problems with it as far as alternatives go, there are a couple of things you can do. First of all, if you're just simply wiping, you don't have quite enough damage, or you can't take the one hit in the second stage, you could drop the 2 Inagamis, move Airgar into the back line, and then just put a couple of tanks in the front line. Now, if you're missing a twin, or if you have different twins, I will say probably the two really important ones are going to be Sabrina and Talia right here. Sabrina's passive giving the 20% attack buff, and then Talia just doing the big damage with Deadly Dance. That's what makes it so easy to get SSS. Now, can you do it without Talia? Absolutely. If all you have is Sabrina and Shayna, that's fine. Just replace Talia with another big damage dealer. If you have the Talia and the Sabrina, but you don't have the Shayna, then you leave the Talia in, and again, replace it with another damage dealer like Crow, or if you happen to have a Brandia, she's going to be amazing here. Any monster that scales to enemy negative debuffs. If you have a Diva, Diva will actually work in place of either Shayna or Talia here. Now, the one thing to remember is if you're switching out some of the twins, Shayna is your primary defense breaker. Sabrina will defense break. She's not 100%. So if you're using Sabrina and not Shayna, then you want to make sure you have one more monster that has a defense break. If it's the Zhongfei, or if it's a Crow, a Rauk, a Bella, it doesn't matter. Just make sure you have a secondary defense breaker, because if you don't land defense break early enough in Groggy State, then you'll miss your SSS. So this is the team that I had used on stream to get rank 24. We're not going to rerun this team right now. It's already up on stream, and I've actually de-runed Lucas already. So Brandia and Crow are the two hardest hitters in the game in terms of hitters that scale off of enemy debuffs. Now, the other one here is this Lucas, who has on his passive, he gets a critical rate buff of 30%, and then he gets a shield proportionate to the amount of damage he does, and then his skill 2 does damage based on his shield, and also cycles back into turn 1. So the fact that he's getting a crit buff and he has attribute advantage on the boss means he only needs 55 crit rate to be critting 100% of the time, and that allows you to put massive amounts of damage on him. And then the Mav lowering everybody's cooldown would allow Lucas to turn cycle even faster. Now, Lucas also has a defense break on this skill too. And then the Crow is giving me the Brand. The Airgar, who is buffing everybody, also has attack power, or attack break, speed break, blocks beneficial effects. So that brought me up to 6 debuffs, and that's where the Cian comes in. He is able to put on the Bomb, which gives me a 7th debuff, and then a Heal Block, which gives me an 8th debuff. And then if you turn cycle him fast enough, he'll get a 2nd Bomb up for a 9th debuff. As you can see, there's not a particularly big difference here. Basically, it's just taking out Lucas and Cian and putting in the Water Twins. The main thing here is that you're going to get more consistent first turn defense break. You get more multi-hits. So it's a little bit of an easier team to run, but mostly it's just because the Water Twins are what you're probably using. If you're looking at these types of endgame teams, you're going to have the Water Twins ruined already, and you're probably using them in Dragon's B10 or some other areas, other rifts and so forth. So they're already ruined, where your Lucas might be ruined for PvP if you even have a Lucas. So this is just a team that's probably a little bit more reachable for most people. If you don't have the Brandia, of course, then you just switch that out with any other monster that's going to scale to enemy negative effects. For those of you who don't know, by the way, you can actually go into the monster search box, scroll all the way down to the bottom where it says Other, and then there's a line in there. It says something like damage percent to enemy harmful effects. And that'll give you a list of all the monsters in the game that have the damage that scales that way. And so there you go, 8.3 on this run. This team, for me, with the runes I have on these monsters, runs between probably 8.5 and 10.5. So that's it for today's video, guys. As always, hope you found it helpful, hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time. Hey guys, if you're still with me to this point, then that means that you probably liked the video, found it entertaining, or even better, both. So please smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, and leave a comment down below, because those things help the channel grow, and more importantly, they show me that the video is useful, and that's the whole reason I do this in the first place.